Hey, Speak Easy podcast listeners. I am excited. This particular episode of the Power of Why series is going to be a great one. And so I want you to make sure that you have something to write down some notes. If not, you're going to want to go back and re-listen to this and jot a few things down because we're going to talk about focus and putting things into focus and what happens when things are not in focus when it comes to your why. I'm excited about my guests, but guess what? Who am I? I'm Altavis Pelzer, your voice manager. I unmute the voice of women who are ready to speak up about what has kept her silent for way too long. And then today's guest is Grace. Hello, Grace.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. So in my mind, I do really good at photography. But if you ask my teenagers, they'll tell you I'm really horrible at it. So I'm really excited about this topic, especially as it pertains to our why and kind of getting that clear focus. Because I know a lot of times we think we have it, we think we got it going on, and then man, somebody else looks at it and they don't know what's happening in the picture. So with that being said, Grace, tell the studio audience a little bit about yourself, and then we'll dive into today's topic.
Of course. So my name is Grace Pamela, and I run a photography academy where I teach photographers and also people who, they could be hobbyists too, where they just want to learn how to take good pictures of their kids. So it's been a lot of fun. We teach that, and we also have a magazine where we feature a lot of those photographers, and so we have lots of fun doing that. We teach people like you if they want to learn photography, but also mostly editing in Photoshop and Lightroom, editing your images. So then you can let your creativity soar. So that way you stand out from the rest.
Now, that was a perfect entryway into how we're going to start this particular discussion, because when it comes to focus and our why, let's just be honest, a lot of people are taking pictures that are out of focus. And even when it comes to our why, a lot of us that have written down this amazing why that we think is just so powerful, and the focus is a little off. So Grace, talk about what can happen when the focus is off, even by the slightest bit.
Now, do you mean literally?
It could be literally.
So what happens is you don't get the full picture. Now, in photography, you want what's important in focus, and then you want the background to be, what's not your subject to be out of focus. So you want to make sure you hit the right subjects in focus. Otherwise, you miss the whole picture. And then you're not sure. The viewer needs to be centralized in on one subject so that it's not too busy, and it's not too, you're trying to figure out what you're looking at if you see everything. So you really want to narrow in and focus on just the important part of the whole entire image. And that's where it's important to learn how to focus correctly, literally and figuratively.
Right? I felt that, because focusing in, and that's one of the things that we really get nervous about, is niching down and focusing in on one thing. When it came to you doing the magazine, how did you focus down enough to say, this is what I really want to do. I'm going to put the effort in. I want to create this platform. Because a lot of people don't realize there's a lot that goes into creating and releasing a magazine.
Yes. And I actually had somebody who came to me saying she wanted to create a magazine for us. And at first I was like, I don't know if I have time to do that. And I'm really glad she pushed for it, because it's been a really great asset for the business. And it makes photographers feel so special when they're featured, and they're so grateful when they get a space in print, because everything is so digital these days that you don't really see as much stuff in print anymore. So when you actually see all of your hard work that you learn from our academy coming into like an actual print, it really is like a gratifying part of the process. So we really wanted to create a platform where it's not just another image going off into the digital world. You can see it, you can hold it, you can feel it. and something to be proud of. So that's kind of why I was really glad that we went and pushed for that to happen.
Ooh, that was great too. It makes it something for you to be proud of, especially when
Yeah.
you can have it in your hand. And a lot of times when it comes to, our purpose, or it comes to that creative idea, when we see it happen, when we see the lives being changed, when we see the book that we've published, or the store that we created with our products and services, it changes you.
Right.
It is the most gratifying feeling ever, and no
Really.
one can take that away from you. I absolutely love it. As someone who's been in both digital and print magazines, knowing that when I receive that magazine in the mail and I have it in my hand and I'm looking through it and I'm like, that's me. It makes for a much different experience
Exactly.
than just seeing it online. So I definitely have to agree with you there on that one, Grace. And I didn't even take the pictures, and it was it was a great experience for me.
Yeah, sometimes even just seeing your name there, it's like, wow.
Exactly. Now I know in the photography space, when we talk about focus, something else that comes into play, especially now that we've gone so extreme when it comes to what our phones can do, is people always talk about the difference between a professional photo and a non-professional photo. And Grace, go talk about the power that comes from having a photo professionally done, as opposed to you just doing a photo that you did on your own.
Yes. Actually, that's something that we are venturing and looking on the outside of, because everybody has a phone and a camera in their phone these days, and photographers have been struggling to fight that, like you said, to try to say, well, a professional photo is better. So what we have been doing is we've been thinking outside the box and finding a way to, instead of shunning that idea and that notion, we're embracing it. So what we're doing is we're teaching photographers how to, especially during the pandemic, where a parent can take a photo of their child just doing whatever, and make a certain pose, and they send it to the photographer who has our training in Photoshop, and they create a composite image, an art piece out of that. And I have lots of examples I could show you on my website, but it's hard to explain. But when you see it, you're like, oh my goodness. So we're kind of trying a way to, think outside the box and embrace that not anybody could be a photographer by just taking a snapshot, but anybody can be an artist if they really put the time and passion into creating an art piece. It doesn't really matter what your materials are. And that kind of goes in hand with being an artist. I mean, there's all different kinds of artists with all different kinds of materials. So instead of trying to separate, and of course, a professional image from a professional camera is going to be much better than an iPhone. And we encourage that more than anything, but especially when everybody's being stuck at home, and they can't go to their photographers to get their normal images, we definitely have been trying to find creative ways to embrace everything and still make everything work.
That speaks to the process and the journey a lot, because there's going to be times where we have to pivot, and we may have to adapt
Right.
and adjust. And that means sometimes learning new things, learning how to implement them into what we already have, which I applaud you 100% on doing that, because it's not always easy. And you do have some who are a stickler for one versus the other, that it comes with the process.
Yes.
But learning how to intertwine them gives you much more territory that you can reach. It gives you much more ground, as opposed to just sticking with one or the other.
Right. We're kind of adjusting our focus.
Exactly. That part. It's exciting though, because when we think about the world of photography, let's be honest, the world of photography has been one of those industries that has shifted so dramatically.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. When we think about, okay, and I'm not saying that I was around when the first camera was made, guys. Not that old. But when we think about what focus meant for the older camera, the one that almost looked like the big accordion thing, to
Mhm.
what focus is now, sometimes focus took a lot more energy. It took a lot more work. That when they had to do something in focus, they had the little dust smoke thing. They had to spark and all types of other stuff. And we don't have to do that as much, but there still is the work that we have to do to put things in focus. And
Yes.
so, but oh my goodness, that journey, looking at all of that has been absolutely phenomenal. Again, I am a photographer in my head, you guys. So
And that kind of gives me a good point too when you think back to how photography was. So the photographers, there are some that only shot film where you had to have the dark room, and then when they came out with the digital cameras, there were so many that were like, well, I'm sticking to my ways and that's it. And guess what? They went out of business. And then the people who embraced the new technology and the change, they're thriving more than ever these days. And you can do both. I'm not saying you're going to just fail, but the ones who are embracing all the new technology and the new advances and the new thinking outside the box ways, they're really doing well.
I have to say that as someone who I've gone to, taking pictures on my phone for the majority of the time. A few years ago, when I sent my daughter to Greece, I did the worst move. Okay, so I'll admit, and Grace is probably going to like give me like the bad girl smack on my hand. I thought it was a good idea to give her the one use cameras
Yeah. Did they
instead of
never get developed?
no, got them developed, but I don't know what the focus was. I don't know.
That's funny.
There were some photos that were really, really great, and some photos that were just horrendous. And in my mind, I thought I was doing something good because I was like, oh, I'll just get her a couple of the digital cameras. And so I don't have to worry about if something happens to them. Okay, it's a digital camera. I mean, one use cameras. If something happens, it's okay. And I would have done a whole lot better to just get her a digital camera and so she could focus because
Right.
it was interesting.
Or at least you can laugh about
I can
it.
laugh about it now. She had like 3 or 4 cameras, and I'm just like looking through the pictures going, oh, what no.
Now you got to go back and do it over again.
Right. I'm like, what exactly was that? But so I see the need in some instances for us to evolve and for us to change and to just grab a hold of that change with both hands. But that experience made me say, yeah, next time I'll just get her a actual camera and we'll just go with that. She can just upload them, right, send them
Right.
to me.
Mhm. Yeah, because most of the time they don't even get developed. I mean, I think I have a camera too from when I went out of country and we went snorkeling, and those pictures are just on that camera, and I don't know where that camera went. So that's another thing that can be a huge issue. Just getting them off of the camera itself is a feat.
Yes, because then I was like,
I think
it wasn't until she came back that I was like, wait, where do I go to get these developed? And I like a whole list of questions came up. A whole list of questions came up. But thankfully, Walgreens still allows you to do developing of single. And in case y'all still have rolls of film, I need y'all to go and get your film developed.
Yeah, before
Yeah,
it's gone forever.
exactly. Before it's gone forever. I think Walmart still may have that option too. I need you to go get it developed. But it's those are the things that we can laugh about when we think about focus and photography, because again, she couldn't focus very well with those cameras because that it just, the technology wasn't made for what
Right.
she was doing, and for movement, that's
Mhm.
another big thing. And so it just didn't turn out the best, but we did get some really good pictures, so I'm excited about that.
That's good.
Yeah, that's always a blessing. Now, as you've been helping other photographers, and I know this is always a question when people are coming into any industry. What are some of the myths that people have when they're coming into photography? They're like, they come to you and they're like, I'm ready, Grace. I have my camera, I have my phone, and I am just ready to go out and take pictures of the world.
So one of them is being afraid that you're going to fail, you're not ready, that you don't even get started. That's a huge one, because some people will take like 2 years and they're like, oh, I don't have the best camera yet. I don't have the best lenses yet. I don't have this or that yet. And then they just never get started. So, one of the things that we encourage is it's okay to make mistakes along the way, and it's okay to not be 100% prepared, just as long as you're going, because you're going to waste so much time trying to be prepared when you could have been getting years of experience and learning from your mistakes and growing in that way, which is much more productive and efficient, I think, than trying to read a book for 2 years to learn how to do it, because you need that, you need the experience. That's part of growing and thriving. So I think one of the myths is you need to spend $30,000 in camera gear. You need to, you need to go to college for photography. All those things. You don't need a degree. You don't have to have, $30,000 worth of equipment. So I think those are some of the big myths that I would, um, encourage people to rethink before they decide to venture into a business. Now, I would recommend making sure you're set up with an accountant and getting your business registered. But other than that, the best thing you're going to be doing is making sure you're getting the experience and you're going out, you're practicing, you're shooting. It doesn't matter what equipment you have, as long as it's something to get you started. And then that's how you grow. You'll take on a client or two, you'll use that money and you'll invest back into your business. So that's kind of one of the big myths, I think, that was important.
That was excellent. And I hope, again, speakeasy listeners, I hope you're taking note, because that is one of the reasons why many people don't start a business at all,
Yes.
is
Yes.
because we
That
think we have.
all businesses. Yeah.
Exactly. Like we think we have to have all of this stuff. Or when we first start, we think we have to take every class. We have to go and spend millions of dollars in order for, yes, you will have to spend money on your business. But
Mm-hmm.
there are always some things that you can do starting today. Like,
Yeah,
I think people miss that part a lot of times. So thank you for saying that.
of course.
And so, okay, so Grace, one of the things that I ask everybody who's been coming on for the Power of Why series is, what has your why done for you? How has it impacted your business?
I think my why, it's definitely made me appreciate the technology that we have these days, as you know, with it advancing so much. But I am actually hard of hearing, and that's kind of a big part of my why for how I thrived more in the back end and teaching and and instead of being out with clients every day and struggling to hear. So I think a big part of my why and how it impacted how my business is knowing firsthand how much technology really helps, and teaching others how to use the technology around them, no matter what it is, to really help you grow and thrive in your business. And I hope that makes sense, but it's kind of a big deal in my world.
Oh no, that made a lot of sense. And when you said it, I perked up a little bit, because I was like, oh wow, that's a part of your story that definitely is going to impact somebody that listens to this episode, because they're going to say, wait, did she just say that she was hard of hearing?
Yes,
But
especially when you are disabled and you're scared to run or start a business because you have some things that you're struggling with. There's a lot of things nowadays that can help you, still, follow your dreams.
Oh, I love that. So I hope y'all take note of that. I hope
Don't give
you
up.
took
You can
note of
do
that.
it.
That's right. Don't give up. You can do it. And with all of the technology that we have now, some good, some not so good, but there are definitely a lot of things that can help you to be able to reach that level of success that you want to achieve. You just have to take action. Oh my goodness. Oh, that just gave me goosebumps. Grace. Oh my goodness. Okay. Woo! All right. Speakeasy podcast listeners, you know that this has always been about you being able to elevate in life and business, because guess what? Without the Speakeasy podcast listeners, there is no Speakeasy podcast. But the most important thing is for you to reach out. We're all about taking action. And so, Grace, let them know where they can find you at online and also how they can get in contact with you for more information.
Yeah, of course. So my website is named after my two daughters, Summer and Liliana. So the website is kind of funky in the spelling, but it's summer like the season and then ANA. So summerana.com. And that's where you can contact me too, because I have a contact page.
I love that. Oh my goodness. And I was looking at her daughter's names and going, they're so cute. As if I was looking at pictures of her actual because I absolutely love their names. But I thank you so much. Oh, I thank you so much for being a guest on the show today. Speakeasy podcast listeners, make sure you are joining the conversation. bit.ly/World Voice Community. Join the free Facebook group. Let us know how this particular episode resonated with you. And also tap in. If you can't do that, then by all means, leave us a review over on your favorite podcasting platform and let us know how this episode resonated with you. That being said, I am Altavis Pelzer, your host, your voice manager. And until next time, guys, don't forget to press it out. See ya.